Hi, we're Art and Bree. 4 years ago, we left the city to buy a 100-year-old farm to turn it into our own productive homestead where we can grow our own food, build a healthy life, and raise our kids just how we like.
We get eggs from our chickens.
We keep a cow who can provide all of our family's milk. We keep pigs for meat.
We keep goats for milk. We got a fridge full of milk. Our freezers are full of healthy food, 4 of them.
Do you have a dream of having your own homestead where you can have a garden, improve your family's health, and build a home together? Do you feel like there's so many things you've not been able to do because you don't own land? You may not be at a scale where you can keep a cow in your yard, but you can learn from your experiences before you buy a large homestead. I think you'll enjoy these homesteading ideas that you can do now on a 1/4 acre or less. If you want to join us in our homesteading adventure on our small farm, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is one you can do on your kitchen counter. If you do a small scale, it's micro hydroponics. I've just started this. I'm going to show you 2 little plants grown in bottles. Here's a tiny basil plant growing in basically fertilizer in water. Here's a dill plant growing in a wine bottle. This can be a way for you to have fresh herbs through the winter on your own kitchen counter, or even in the summer if you don't have space in your yard to have an herb garden. If you don't have enough sunlight, you can get a tiny little grow light like this. I think this one was $13. The next thing on your list is learning foraging. You can go out into the national forest or on your small property and learn edible plants. My kids just went exploring in the woods with my sister, learning about mushrooms. Now you gotta be careful with mushrooms. Don't eat them unless you're with someone who's an expert. Some of these are poison and a few of them are edible, but we're not actually eating any of them. This is a way you can learn to be more sustainable and learn more about the world around you right now.
This one is witch's butter.
Some edible plants might surprise you, like this one is stinging nettle, and it can sting you really badly, but nettles have been eaten around the world for many years, and they're very nutritious and pretty tasty, and they don't sting you if you eat them in the right way. My next idea is a mini orchard. You see these 3 fruit trees behind me? They're just not that far apart. These trees are 15 feet apart, and you can put dwarf fruit trees closer. Get out a piece of paper, get out a pencil, a measuring tape, mark out. You'll be surprised with how many apple trees you can fit in a really little space and have a bunch of production for many years to come.
Our next idea is that you can actually make homemade cheeses, yogurt, even butter, though that's not as cost effective, without owning a milk cow. You can get milk from the store. You do have to adjust a little bit for milk that isn't raw, or you can get milk from your local dairy farmer. I actually wish that before we had bought a farm and started farming, I had learned some of these skills that you can do at home without actually having a farm. In some ways, you have more time to experiment and practice and really hone those skills in without also having the added care of your farm.
My next tip is to plant a garden no matter how small. I want to show you something right here. I'm going to show you a small piece of our garden and let you know how incredibly productive a small area can be. Our bean patch runs from here to there. It's 4 30-foot rows. You might or might not think that's small, but this could easily fit in most people's front or backyard. Let me tell you how much we've gotten out of here in 2 pickings. We picked the beans twice. 200 pounds out of these 4 rows. If that's all that I grew and this was in my front yard, I would be very, very happy with that. You can buy a half or a 1/4 cow from a local farmer at a really good price. You can learn to do butchering work yourself and with your friends. You can make sausage and do so many of the things that you can do if you have a bigger homesteader farm like we do. Not only will you save money, but you can have some of the best and healthiest meat at a really good price, depending on where you get the carcass. I chewed my pen. You can have your friends over and have a great micro homesteading time of your own. My next idea is to learn to ferment. This is a way that you can enhance your family's health and have a great time with your friends and with your family creating some of the best tasting food. And the cool part is that it can contribute to long-term storage. So you can learn an amazing skill in your kitchen with vegetables either you buy from a farmer, you grew in your small garden, or you bought from the grocery store. So far this year, we've made 13 gallons of sauerkraut. You don't have to go that big though. You can make sauerkraut in a pint jar or a half pint jar. You can make it on pretty much any scale. Our next idea is to plant a small herb garden. You can supply your kitchen with incredible culinary perfection from a very small space, and fresh herbs make all the difference in making your food really pop, and you can add it to your other things, whether you're canning, making dilly beans. The cool thing though is that you can also plant flowers in your herb garden, and it is incredibly beautiful. Almost anyone has space for a small herb garden on their property. Our next idea is to grow mushrooms. This right behind me is a bag of oyster mushroom mycelium on grain and sawdust. I'm waiting for it to fruit. And how much space does this take? It's hanging in a tree. You could have 20 of these bags hanging out here. You can even do this in your house. So you don't have to wait till you have a bunch of property to produce really high quality food on your land. My next idea is to gather nutrients and organic matter for the small garden you have. Behind me is a huge pile of wood chips that came from the power company that was cutting close by. Here's a little tip. If you want to have a garden in a spot, but you know you're not going to have time to do it for like 4 years, dump wood chips there, spread them out a foot deep. In 4 to 5 years, you're going to have incredible soil that you can plant straight into. Another way that you can gather organic matter and nutrients for your soil is manure. Many people who keep horses will give their manure to you. You do have to be careful what was in the hay, so ask them if the hay was sprayed with a broadleaf herbicide. You don't want that in your garden. Taking the time to gather soil nutrients, manure, and organic matter for your small garden can make all the difference and allow you to have a truly productive garden, making the most of a small space. That idea leads right into the next idea, which is start a compost pile. You don't have to throw away all the old food, don't have to throw away your lawn clippings. You can throw wood chips in a compost pile, mix it up. Don't listen to anyone who tells you you can do it wrong. In the end, you're gonna have amazing garden soil to make the most of your small garden. Here's a little compost pile that I'm starting. I've thrown some manure in there, straw, grass clippings, and weeds I've pulled out of the garden elsewhere. My next idea, if you have a garden, is to go up. The more you can go vertical in your garden, the more you can get out of a small garden. Check out these tomatoes, 8 feet tall, an incredible production. Now we have 3 30-foot rows, but if you have 1 6-foot row, you're gonna have a countertop full of tomatoes for any dish you want to cook. I'm about 6'3". The tomatoes are about 2 feet taller than I am. I'm in here at our chick brooder, and here's the next idea. Get chickens. Oh, big surprise, right? Well, here it is. Get chickens with a twist. You want a great little project that you could do and actually make money off your property of less than a 1/4 acre. Buy chicks or hatch them in an incubator. Raise them out to about 6 weeks old through the hardest part of their life, the part where they're most likely to die. They require the most care, and then post them on an online marketplace. People are gonna come and snatch them up for $15, $20, and even more dollars, depending on where you are, because they don't want to deal with this trouble. So raise chickens, but be smart about it. You can actually pay for your own chicks by selling just a few to other people in the community around you. My next idea is the sneak attack garden. I bet you don't even see the garden back there in the background. I'm gonna show you what I'm growing right here in a space that is not used for anything else, and you can do this too. It's sweet potatoes. I didn't plant them for the roots and the tubers. I planted them for the greens in between 2 rocks because I love to eat sweet potato greens. You can put these anywhere and eat the greens off of them, and they're actually a very attractive little vine that'll lay on the ground. You can make them climb as well. I like them sauteed the best, but they're good raw too. And you can plant a few sweet potato slips anywhere on your property and go out and just pick greens from the edges of your lawn. You should really try this one. If you want to buy a homestead in the future, the best thing you can do right now is learning, because once you get onto a place like this, it can be overwhelming. So the more you know and the better prepared you are before you make a move like that, the better. Guys, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want to come along with our homesteading journey on this small farm. Thanks a lot.